In this video, I will explain about the course Research Report and Seminar in ELT for the 7th semester students of PBI at UKDW. So I will explain the syllabus and also the expectation for the class. First is the course description. I'll just read. Students are expected to gather data based on predetermined research questions, to report and to analyze the results in relation with existing literature. For examples, but not limited to, existing theories, the findings of previous studies, and to make conclusions of the studies. Students are expected to write the results and the analysis of the results and the conclusions of the results, as well as to present them orally in front of teachers and peers. Perhaps you can pay attention to the words bolded here. In the class this semester, you will need to gather the data. After that, you need to report and analyze your data based on literature, and then to make conclusions of your studies. So basically, it's the chapter 4 and 5 after you already finish your proposal, which consists of chapter 1, 2, and chapter 3. If we take a look here, you need to write the results, then to present them orally. So there will be assessment, assessing the final paper, and then assessment, assessing your presentation at the end of the class. At the end of the course, students are expected to be able to analyze findings in relation with existing literature, and then second, produce a research report, and then the third, present the research and respond to questions related to the research. So I will repeat. You will need to analyze your findings after you gather the data, and then you report it in relation with literature. It's in written form, and then this report will be presented at the end orally in front of examiners. So basically, that is the expected goal of the class. And then for the materi pokok, in this class, as written here, you will gather the data, pengambilan data menggunakan instrumen yang akan digunakan untuk skripsi. Melakukan analisis data dan menyajikan hasilnya, melakukan pembahasan hasil dengan literatur sebagai acuan secara tertulis, menulis kesimpulan dari studi yang dilakukan, mempresentasikan hasil dan analisis riset. So basically, these materi pokok are already explained in the course descriptions, and they all will be assessed in the assessment criteria. So after you finish your research proposal in the previous semester, in this semester you are supposed to continue the proposal into the data gathering phase, and then analyzing the results in relation with literature, and then you present the results and your analysis orally. Okay, here we can see the component penilaian or assessment criteria. Here we can see the first one is raw data presentation, that is 20%. In this presentation, you will need to present how you collect your data, the data that you have gathered, even though it's not analyzed fully. For example, if you are doing interview, then would like to see the transcripts and then the consent forms, for example. This is important to ensure that the techniques of data gathering that you do are methodologically correct, because ideally this is the data gathering of your skripsi, so this is very important. And then consultations, that is very big, the percentage, that is 20%. To get a maximum or optimum grade, you will need to consult your works with your advisor 8 up to 10 times during the semester. And then the research report, 30%, that is the final paper, the written form of your chapter 4 and 5, plus the references and the appendix. Remember that references and appendixes are very integral part of your final papers and should not be left out. And then final presentation, or in PBE we call it mock defense, that is also 30%. In this final presentation, you will need to present your final paper, your research report here, to 3 different examiners. Those are your lecturers later. So after you've done analyzing your data and then you write the results, then you present the results in front of these 3 examiners. The module and grading rubrics are provided in eClass. And then we'll go to the mode of instruction. So the first, the class is fully consultation based. So it's different from your class in the previous semester when you were doing research proposal. In this research report class, the class will be conducted fully consultation based, which means that there will be no class teacher, and then you don't need to indicate your attendance in eClass, and then your attendance and progress will be monitored through the consultations with the advisors. So the suggested number of the consultation is 8 to 10 times. So if you take a look at the grading rubrics for the consultations, if you consult your works at 8 up to 10 times in a semester, you will get an optimum grade. And then you will need to present your raw data in front of your advisor after you finish collecting your data and analyzing it. For example, if you are doing interview, you have done the transcription and then the semantic analysis. If you're doing distributing questionnaire, and then you have recorded the details into SPSS, and then you have done the formula, then you can present the results, the raw data, to your advisor, and then we will give you feedback on the ethical considerations and then on the methods, and then your raw data will also be graded. And then you also need to present your report in front of 3 examiners in a mock defense. So the grades will be obtained from these 3 examiners. In this research report class, we focus on chapters 4 and 5 only. So basically, you collect all your data and analyze the results based on previous theories and previous studies. There is perhaps question, what if we use new sources in chapter 4? Meaning sources we haven't mentioned in chapter 2. For now, it is okay. However, in your scriptsheet, literature in chapter 2 and 5 should correspond to each other. So basically, for this semester, it is totally okay for you to have new sources, meaning sources that you haven't mentioned in chapter 2. For example, if you need to do or to use those sources to analyze your results, the data in chapter 4. So it is okay for this semester. Next semester, when you are doing your scriptsheet, you will need to ensure that sources that you use in chapter 4 have been mentioned in your chapter 2 because it is already included in the guideline of scriptsheet writing and scriptsheet defense. This is perhaps the concern of many of you. What if we need to adjust our research due to the pandemic? So the answer is please do. Of course, you will need to be in a close contact with your advisors for suggestions. There may be several possibilities. The first, you go as planned in the proposal with no adjustment. And then, it's also possible for you to modify the research questions and the methods. Also, it's possible to modify some of your methods. You may also need to change some of your participants or your participants entirely. All in all, do as you deem fit and necessary, as long as it is methodologically correct. So yes, last semester you have been working really hard to work on the proposal. It's desirable if you can gather your data for scriptsheet this semester based on your proposal. But due to this emergency or this pandemic situation, it is also possible that your proposal needs to be adjusted somehow, somewhere. And if that's the case, please be in close contact with your advisors to get suggestions, and then I recommend you do it as soon as you have the opportunity. It's perhaps another concern from some of you. What if you are not ready to gather your real data for scriptsheet? Well, my answer is, it's okay. You can use this class as practice. Example, instead of distributing questionnaire to 100 participants, you can just distribute your questionnaire to 15 or to 20 participants and analyze the results. It will not affect your grade in any way because the grades are based on your analysis of data, not your data. So what matters more is your analysis of the data, not the data that you gather. Of course, in your scriptsheet later, you can gather your real data. So for example, simply put, if you are not ready to gather your real data this semester, do not be too afraid. So you don't need to be afraid. If you are not ready, you can use this class as practice. Of course, as the consequence, you will need to gather your real data next semester when you are doing your scriptsheet. Of course, if you can gather the data for Skripsi this semester, it can speed up your Skripsi process. However, as I write here, your seniors did that, meaning they did the practice in the research report class, and then they gathered the real data for Skripsi in the 8th semester when they were taking Skripsi. And as you know, that they graduated last semester. So you don't need to be too afraid if, for example, you are not ready to gather your real data for now. Don't worry too much about it. Tomorrow will have its own worry, so it's okay. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. You can post your questions via WhatsApp group that we have, or you can also message me personally.